having a ball.
We're very excited about the response.
The return of a Mardi Gras tradition, the party with a purpose.
Showers for your sweetheart on Valentine's Day. Warm enough, though, for rain showers. The area is most likely to see beneficial rain.
Our top story, a convicted felon charged, accused of gunning down a woman in a drive-thru.
He is very familiar with a jail cell.
Tonight, police are piecing together a trail of terror and crime.
We were just beginning to understand that there was a potential pattern here.
Investigators say it appears to be a random attack. This is 5 on Your Side at 10. I'm Kelly Jackson.
And I'm Mike Bush. Hours ago, prosecutors announced charges in the shooting death of a woman in a Starbucks drive-thru in South St. Louis. Tonight, the suspect also faces felony charges in 2 separate robberies that police say occurred days before the deadly shooting. 5 on Your Side's Robert Townsend is live near Tower Grove Park, where 2 of those crimes took place. Robert.
Mike and Kelly, Keith Brown has a lengthy criminal record that includes a burglary back in 1986. Tonight, the convicted felon is facing several new charges. A probable cause statement reveals chilling details about a violent crime spree Keith Brown allegedly committed. Police say on February 6th, Brown pointed a gun into a woman's car while she and her daughter were at this Jack-in-the-Box on South Grand.
The victim was in a drive-thru when the suspect approached the victim, robbed the victim, and then fired a shot into the air after the robbery.
Investigators say Brown stole a handgun from the woman's purse containing her bank cards and cell phones from her and her daughter. Court papers reveal 2 days later, Brown went inside this Dollar General store on North Grand, pointed a gun at a cashier's face, demanded money, and left.
After the robbery occurred and the suspect exited the store, the suspect fired 2 rounds into the air.
And on Tuesday morning, police say the same man pointed a gun at a 28-year-old customer while in this Starbucks drive-thru across the street from the Jack-in-the-Box. Police say Brown demanded the victim raise their hands before he shot them and killed them. They also say he stole the person's bank cards and driver's license.
Just an absolute heartbreaking situation.
Today, SLMPD explained why surveillance images from the previous robberies were not released before the crime on the 10th.
There were questions about that, the robberies in themselves were different. You had a robbery that occurred inside of a store, and then you had something that happened in a drive-thru. At that point, we were just beginning to understand that there was a potential pattern here.
5 Your Side has learned Sam Lenahan, who died in the tragic shooting, worked as the general manager at Sawdough on the Hill. Employees, visibly shaken, told us they're heartbroken. The Metro Edge Figure Skating Club at the Webster Groves Ice Arena, where Lenahan also worked, will remember them as a beloved competitive skater and coach. Brown is charged with murder first degree, 3 counts of robbery first degree, 4 counts of armed criminal action, and unlawful possession of a firearm. Tonight he sits in jail without bond. We're live in South City. I'm Robert Townsend, 5 on Your Side.
A teen is now charged as an adult in the murder of a man inside a North City Schnuck store. 17-year-old Xavier Ellis faces first-degree murder charges. Prosecutors say he shot and killed 20-year-old Henry Armstrong inside the Schnucks at Natural Bridge and Union back in September. The shooting stemmed from a fight. According to court documents, Ellis fired several shots inside the store and shot the victim at point-blank range after he fell to the floor.
Tonight, an important meeting on controversial data centers in St. Louis. Within the last few hours, the city presented the first draft of planning and zoning regulations and allowed the public to weigh in. 5 on Your Side's Laura Barczewski has been following this issue closely and attended tonight's meeting.
City of St. Louis staff spent the last 5 months researching and learning about the best practices for data centers to give the city some sort of path forward during an unprecedented industry boom.
I think the key takeaway from some of this precedent research is everybody is grappling with this.
A big part of the zoning framework presented on Wednesday defines data centers and different types. Micro data centers are less than 10,000 gross square feet with power demand less than 5 megawatts. Standard data centers are more than 10,000 gross square feet or maximum power demand of more than 5 megawatts but less than 75 megawatts. Large load data centers are classified as having a power demand of 75 megawatts or more. Those massive data center campuses or hyperscale data centers would fit under the large load category.
This scale is not appropriate or possible in the city.
So we're trying to strike the right balance, right? We want St. Louis to be open for business, but we also want it to be open for business on our terms.
The framework also specifies where certain types of data centers can go, but no matter where they are, even if it's industrial land, they have to be at least 300 feet from homes or what they call sensitive uses. Some residents say they still don't want them in the area at all and are still very concerned.
I want this city to be livable as I age. I want my 74-year-old mom to be able to stay here. I'm having trouble affording my utility bills.
City staff says, to their understanding, even if the data center is outside the city, because it's in Ameren's service district, it could still impact everyone's electric bills. One resident says, on the other hand, it's possible there could be benefits of data centers on our aging city infrastructure as updates are required.
I would argue that, responsible data centers and the use of water might actually help keep our water rates lower.
Reporting in St. Louis, Laura Barczewski, 5 on your side.
And you can still weigh in. The city says public comment is still open and will be taken into consideration as they make more drafts of the data center zoning code.
Tonight, St. Louis County services on the chopping block after massive cuts to the budget. The county council cut millions of dollars across multiple departments back in December. As a result, today, County Executive Sam Page announced the West County Government Center will shut down at the end of the month. County offices at the Clayton headquarters, Northwest Crossing, and in South County will remain open. However, starting Tuesday, they will now close at 3:30. The county is also not opening the pools this summer at the St. Vincent Community Center or at the Kennedy Recreation Complex.
A live look tonight at the U.S. Capitol, where just hours ago, the House of Representatives passed the SAVE Act, the voter ID bill backed by President Donald Trump. One Democrat joined all Republicans in passing the bill. It would require states to verify voter eligibility in federal elections by requiring proof of citizenship. Voters would also have to present photo ID to cast a ballot at the polls. Mail-in voters would have to submit a photo ID when both requesting and casting an absentee ballot. Supporters say this would strengthen election integrity. Critics argue it could create barriers to voting. The bill now heads to the Senate, where Democratic leaders vow to block it. The countdown to St. Louis's biggest party is on, and tonight final preparations are underway for the return of an historic tradition.
The mayor's Mardi Gras ball is moving back home to City Hall. 5 on your side's Brett Solomon explains Friday night's party is all to help neighbors still recovering from the May 16th tornado.
Yeah, it's a pretty different mission here. You can already imagine the scene, the sounds of dance music and celebration filling the halls of City Hall once again. While the ball is always a highlight of the season, this year's black tie event carries a special mission for North City. Call it a long journey back to the Rotunda. After moving to the Anheuser-Busch Beer Garden last year, the mayor's Mardi Gras Ball is returning to its first home.
We're very excited about going back to City Hall.
It isn't just a return to a venue, it's an expansion with new art activations on the top level and a headline performance by Dr. Chavegas on its farewell tour.
Normally, we would occupy the first 3 floors of City Hall. There are 4 floors total, but we would only use the first 3. This year, we're going to utilize all 4 floors.
The biggest change this year is where the money goes. Since 2002, the Mardi Gras Foundation has used the big night to fund improvements in Soulard. But after last year's EF3 tornado devastated North City, the foundation is shifting its focus to recovery.
In the wake of this catastrophe for our city, this kind of generational event, we think this makes sense.
For those in the 10th Ward, this shift in funding is more than just a gesture. Some call it a necessity.
Every single day, I talk to multiple constituents or businesses or just other people asking on behalf of other people. Money at this point, 9 months later, more than ever, people don't need a lot of talk around. They don't need a lot of programming. They don't need a lot of meetings. They need funding.
Organizers say they are very close to a sellout this year. It's Soulard's way of helping the city heal, one dance at a time.
And we're very happy about that.
The ball runs from 7 p.m. until midnight Friday. If you're looking for a last-minute ticket to the party of the year, there are still a few available for $225.
You can find a link to purchase those on KSDK.com.
And the next day, the Bud Light Grand Parade steps off. That's Saturday at 11 a.m. from just south of Busch Stadium. The beads will be flying down Broadway as the parade heads south to the Anheuser-Busch Brewery. And for all you need to know about Mardi Gras and Soulard, including parking rules and events, text the word Marty to 314-425-5355. We'll send a link to your phone. It looks like a hidden oasis, but in reality, it's a toxic dumping ground.
Probably one of the worst landfills in the St. Louis region.
Tonight, encouraging news for a Franklin County man.
A little bit's better than nothing.
Fighting to stop waste from seeping onto his land and into the Merrimack River.
Our rivers are running rather low at the moment due to the ongoing drought. Why our weekend rain chances aren't expected to cause big changes on the river levels or the condition of our overall drought.
Tonight, a glimmer of hope for a Franklin County man fighting to get an abandoned landfill cleaned up before more chemicals leak onto his property and ultimately into the Merrimack River.
He first shared his concerns with 5 on Your Side back in September. Now Tracy Henson is hearing from a former Department of Natural Resources inspector and found out just how dire the situation really is.
DNR has not been hands-on with us at all.
This is one of the first times Teresa Thavari has been able to talk openly with Jim Roberts.
This is the property, the north slope right here.
Up until recently, Thavari worked for the Department of Natural Resources inspecting hazardous waste dump sites.
I actually came out here in February.
One of many trips to the abandoned Generally landfill in St. Clair, Missouri.
This site, neighbors Jim's property, is probably one of the worst landfills in the St. Louis region.
One of the worst because at first glance, it doesn't look like a landfill at all.
This site has a lot of trees. A landfill that is in compliance and is being maintained properly and routinely checked. There shouldn't be any vegetation, like any trees, woody vegetation at all, because that will impact the cap and will destruct the cap and let water or other contaminants get into the landfill.
The cap is a layer of plastic or clay that seals in a closed landfill. Thavari isn't even sure there is one here.
This site is a perfect storm of everything that can possibly go wrong with the landfill is going wrong.
Every once in a while, you kind of get a rough smell from it.
No owner mandated to bring the landfill into compliance. No funding for a government agency to take the project on themselves. So for now, the landfill will keep leaching into the Roberts Creek and Spring.
The test results had elevated levels of lead, arsenic, PFAS in particular, which PFOA and PFAS are deemed hazardous substances by the EPA. Well above the limit. Yeah, there's no way I would have animals or anybody in that creek.
He's trying to fix it, but getting someone in leadership to listen was hard until Missouri State Senator Ben Brown picked up Roberts' call.
And he had explained that he purchased this land, thinking that it would be the perfect opportunity to raise his family, potentially start a farm.
Roberts sent pictures of the orange goo and unnatural glossy sheen on the water. Senator Brown took the issue to the DNR, EPA, and county with no luck. But then he reached out to the University of Missouri.
She explained that through what's called the Brownfield program, there are actually federal grants available specifically for the environmental study as well as the cleanup for these types of sites.
It's a long shot, but perhaps a thin beam of light at the end of the tunnel for Roberts.
Yeah, not the progress I want to see, but a little bit's better than nothing.
In St. Clair, Tracy Henson, 5 on Your Side.
The Missouri Department of Natural Resources says it does not have the authority or funding to adequately address abandoned landfills. They're working with lawmakers to find a long-term solution. Franklin County submitted for the grant. The decision comes down in June.
5 on Your Side has reported on the radioactive waste in our region for years, from homes being demolished to communities facing health concerns. And tomorrow night, we get to the root of it. Where did this waste come from and how did it end up in our community? We take these questions to environmental advocates who've been fiercely fighting for cleanup and compensation. After decades, our community is still facing the fallout.
Do you want this to continue? Because if you don't, and if you're done like we're done, then this year, 2026, needs to be the year that you jump in both feet and start making some noise about this issue to get it out of this region once and for all.
Our Justina Coronel takes a deeper dive into the origin of this radioactive waste. Toxic Legacy revealed tomorrow night on 5 on Your Side at 10.
Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell, and the days are getting warmer. But we do have some rain also in the forecast.
We do, and of course it's coming over the weekend. This is a long holiday weekend. It's Valentine's weekend, but it doesn't rain the entire weekend. That's the good news that we have. There's a window of opportunity. Of course, it might be the window when you're taking your sweetheart out to dinner. All right, we're looking at it, Lambert. Flights have been coming in without any problem tonight. Pretty smooth flying into St. Louis without much wind. 52 tomorrow, 58 on Friday. We're pretty quiet here the next couple of days. There is your rain chance. Sticks out like a sore thumb on this 7-day forecast. It's for Saturday, mainly later in the afternoon into Saturday evening. At the moment, we just have the high thin clouds overhead from time to time. We are down to 34. We'll drop a few more degrees, but we're going to steady out in the upper 20s to around 30 tonight. The winds have gone calm. We did make it up to 49 today. What's ahead for the next few days? Well, quiet weather into Friday night. The showers, and they are rain showers. It's warm enough only for rain, arrive later Saturday. But the heaviest rain has been trending, is still trending to our south. And so we think St. Louis on the northern fringe of the substantial rain. Should be a frosty start, though, tomorrow morning with temperatures in the 20s to around 30. And your hour-by-hour forecast pushes us back through the 40s by 10 o'clock. By 1 o'clock, we're around 50, low 50s for highs. The weather pattern shifting out to our west. Numerous systems lining up here. Eventually, much of the energy we see out west works its way towards us. Initially, it's just these high thin clouds, but we get that larger weather system coming in from the southwest on Saturday. In the morning, it's likely dry, but by Saturday afternoon, the rain creeps closer to St. Louis. Southern counties, that includes Rolla, over towards Potosi, Farmington, over towards Nashville, Illinois, Mount Vernon. You're going to see that steadier rain or the heavier rain Saturday afternoon into Saturday night. Here's a little closer inspection so you can kind of time it out. Starts rolling in a little after lunchtime, we think, in St. Louis, and sticks with us throughout the afternoon hours. We're going to try to get the parade in Soulard here on Saturday, stepping off with just the clouds at 11 o'clock, but those rain chances returning as we go into the late afternoon into the evening. Honestly, we do need the rain. We're in a drought. It's dry. Areas south of St. Louis, and we mean well south of St. Louis, that's where that half an inch to an inch or more might fall. Metro area, while we can't rule out getting some decent rain of a half an inch or more, the track of the storm so far looks like it's far enough south where we don't get that much in St. Louis. And by Sunday, it's gone. President's Day's on Monday. How about 63? And why don't you go ahead and make it a 4-day weekend, stay out Tuesday, maybe make it a 5-day weekend. Wednesday.
Sounds good.
That's crazy. All right, Scott, thanks. Frank is here with sports.
Mike, Mizzou was involved in an absolute thriller at Texas A&M. Wait till you see the new Cardinal digs in Jupiter, and Josh Schertz doesn't watch Landman? We will explain.
And here's a look at the Olympic late night lineup on 5 on Your Side. At 10:35, the tricks fly for the women's moguls final. And at 11:10, U.S. snowboarders Chloe Kim and Alessandro Barbieri compete in the halfpipe qualifying.
The Mizzou basketball Tigers don't want a gold medal, just an invitation to the NCAA tournament. Their net ranking is not great at 61. It could improve big time tonight with a win at Texas A&M. This is what you play like when you're 25 and in your 5th year. Jaden Stone on the fast break pulls up from 3. That's confidence, folks. The Tigers' most improved player, T.O. Barrett. Look at that. Best player for Mizzou tonight, Trent Pierce. It's a 24-9 run for Mizzou. Under 20 seconds to play, the lob to Sean Phillips. 86-85 Mizzou. The Aggies had one last crack. Phillips, good defense. Tigers win a thriller, 86-85. In the meantime, SLU and Josh Schertz will try to stretch that win streak to 18 on Friday against Loyola. He's a basketball junkie. You know what he did this week because the Billikens didn't play? He looked at 12 hours of video of other teams playing. He looked at the Belmont UIC game to pick up a few things, but games are the only things he watches.
Yeah, I don't watch TV, so no, just strictly basketball. I have not watched a TV show in, gosh, a long time. But I even the off season, no, it's usually just basketball. My wife thinks I'm a blast, so it's just the way I'm wired. I don't know. It's funny. Like we go on vacation and I always bring my computer, and then if she's sleeping, I'll be up watching her. We'll be out at the beach or the pool, and it's what I enjoy doing. So it's she knows. Then she'll be like, she'll tell me like, put your computer away. We're not, and I do it. I'm do as I'm told.
That sounds familiar, actually. If the Cardinals do what is predicted for them this season, they will go 70-92. We will see shortly how the new deck of cards works this season. The only thing we know for sure is they will hit the field in Jupiter for their first official workout tomorrow. It will be their first spring training conducted by Chaim Bloom, the new president of baseball operations. It will be the first time Ali Marmol will have a squad without a player who made the All-Star team. It will be the first time Michael McGreevy begins the season in the starting rotation. And it will be the first time these players get to experience the newly renovated spring training complex. They spent $108 million on this facelift.
You have so many things at your disposal now, from a tech standpoint, from the cages to the performance side. It's night and day, and it feels good for the player.
I'm not sure what type of role that will play in wins this season, but it's nice to have a cool facility.
Yeah, all right.
Very nice.
Frank, thanks.
All right, coming up, he may not be a whippersnapper, but he is still lacing up the skates to practice his slap shot. Going for gold has never tasted better. Hershey's is cheering on Team USA with chocolate medals wrapped in gold foil for the Winter Olympics. The limited edition chocolate medals go on sale on Hershey's TikTok store on Friday. The U.S. men's hockey team starts their Olympic run tomorrow.
Well, one fan who will be watching is 86-year-old Terry Crowell, who still plays the game. The Louisville, Kentucky man didn't pick up the sport until his 60s, and he found out that ice skating helps keep his body strong.
I'm allowed 2 times a week, Saturday 11 to 2 and Monday 11 to 2.
Oh,
I have a wife at home.
Terry jokes he's horrible at hockey, but he still loves it.
He looks pretty good out there.
I'll bet he'll be watching the Olympics.
Yes.
There you have it, 5 on your side at 10. We're always streaming on your smartphone and smart TV.
Start your day with Today in St. Louis. That starts at 4:30. Have a great tomorrow.